Grant Hollister, Diane Mercer, and Victor Hale seemed like the kind of wealthy boaters everyone admired until a fisherman's net dragged up a human bone and exposed the midnight voyage that turned their luxury harbor into the scene of a chilling murder and a toxic dumping empire. The small coastal town of Baybridge looked peaceful from a distance, with sunlight bouncing off gentle waves and gulls drifting lazily above. Rows of pastel houses hugged the harbor, and sailboats swayed like ornaments on a glassy blue sheet. To visitors, it was a picture of calm wealth, the sort of place where nothing dangerous could ever happen. Yet locals knew that beauty often hides rot. For years, quiet rumors clung to the town like a stubborn fog, whispers about the Harbor Club, the group of wealthy boat owners who arrived each summer and treated the marina as their private playground. Their parties were famous, music echoing across the water until dawn, champagne flowing, strangers ferried aboard expensive yachts under moonlight. No one could ever say what truly happened during those late hours, only that the guests returned to shore looking different, a little too quiet, as if carrying secrets back with them. It was a gray morning in early spring when those whispers hardened into something more than gossip. A local fisherman, hauling his nets near the old lighthouse, felt a heavy snag at the bottom. He cursed, expecting to find another tangle of seaweed or a chunk of discarded metal. Instead, when the line broke the surface, it carried a corroded anchor thick with barnacles and something pale caught between its arms. At first glance, it looked like driftwood bleached by salt, but a closer look revealed the unmistakable shape of a human bone. The fisherman's hands trembled as he radioed the harbor patrol, his voice cracking with disbelief. The discovery rattled the entire town. Baybridge was used to the occasional boating accident or storm wreck, but this was different. The bone was clean and surprisingly fresh, not the relic of a decades-old tragedy. Police cordoned off the dock while divers combed the surrounding seabed. Reporters arrived by evening, their vans lined along the pier, cameras pointing toward the restless water. Neighbors peered from windows, guessing at the worst while pretending they were only curious. The Harbor Club members, who usually welcomed attention for their glamorous summer gatherings, stayed silent. Some left town overnight, their yachts conspicuously absent. The next morning, for the first time, Baybridge felt like a place where something calculated and cruel had unfolded just beyond sight. The cheerful harbor, once a backdrop for postcards and wedding photos, now seemed to watch with cold indifference. What the fisherman had dredged from the deep was more than a single bone. It was the beginning of a mystery that would peel away the polished surface of privilege and expose a crime no tide could keep buried forever. Investigators began their work before sunrise, turning the quiet marina into a maze of flashing lights and clipped radio calls. The single bone recovered from the fisherman's net was quickly identified as human, and preliminary testing suggested it belonged to someone who had died less than a year earlier. That fact alone startled the town. No recent missing person matched the discovery. Detectives decided to look beyond Baybridge's year-round residents and focus on the seasonal visitors who swarmed the harbor every summer. Their attention soon narrowed to the Harbor Club, the exclusive circle of wealthy boat owners known for lavish regattas and private late-night voyages. Security footage from the marina became the first major clue. Hours of recordings were reviewed, each frame scanned for anomalies. One pattern stood out. On the night of the midsummer regatta the previous year, several luxury yachts returned later than their captains had claimed. Logs showed their supposed arrival times around midnight, but cameras revealed movements well past dawn. Most striking was the absence of any record of the Sea Vesper, a sleek white vessel known for its extravagant parties. The boat appeared leaving the harbor just after sunset, but never appeared coming back. Its owner, Grant Hollister, was one of the club's most prominent members, a millionaire celebrated for generous donations to local charities. When questioned, Hollister insisted the Sea Vesper had been undergoing repairs during that period. On paper, his story looked convincing. Maintenance orders showed the yacht scheduled for a full engine overhaul that week, with receipts signed by the marina's own mechanic. But a quiet interview with that mechanic revealed a different picture. No repairs were ever performed, and the signature on the paperwork was not his own. Someone had forged the record to create an alibi. Detectives widened the search to the other members of the Harbor Club. Financial records began to uncover strange connections, joint investments in obscure shell companies, sudden transfers of large sums just days after the regatta, and cash withdrawals that seemed designed to avoid reporting thresholds. Each detail hinted that the wealthy boaters were bound together by more than friendship and sailing. It suggested a coordinated effort, something they desperately wanted to hide. The town that once admired the Harbor Club's glamorous lifestyle now watched them with suspicion. Elegant parties and glittering decks no longer impressed anyone. Instead, each yacht tied to the pier felt like a locked vault, holding evidence of what truly happened on that summer night. When the Sea Vesper vanished from the cameras and a life beneath the waves was lost, detectives pressed forward, convinced the missing yacht held the key to the mystery. Divers scoured deeper sections of the bay, mapping the seabed with sonar, while forensic accountants dissected the Harbor Club's finances. Their persistence soon uncovered a thread that wove the club members together far beyond recreational sailing. Bank statements revealed a pattern of quiet money movement, transfers routed through offshore accounts, cash deposits made in precise increments to avoid automatic reporting, and sudden spikes in spending after certain late-night outings. It was clear the club had become more than a social gathering. Something lucrative and illegal had taken root behind the polished veneer of champagne cruises. A retired Coast Guard officer provided an unexpected breakthrough. While reviewing old incident logs, he recalled a night of fierce winds and unexpected flares near the lighthouse during the summer regatta. He had reported the sighting, expecting a rescue operation to follow, but no official response was ever recorded. The timing of those flares aligned perfectly with the Sea Vesper's unexplained absence from the harbor cameras. Investigators treated this memory as more than coincidence and ordered another round of dives in the turbulent waters surrounding the lighthouse. The search team soon recovered a shard of polished teak from the ocean floor. Its curved grain and rare finish matched the custom decking of the Sea Vesper, a detail verified by the yacht's original builder. The discovery shattered any remaining belief that the yacht's disappearance was innocent. Either the vessel had been deliberately dismantled or a violent event had torn it apart in that very location. Meanwhile, the personal lives of the Harbor Club members came under scrutiny. Private investigators unearthed tense emails between certain members discussing emergency disposal and midnight freight, cryptic phrases that hinted at something far darker than casual smuggling. Grant Hollister, once praised as a benefactor of the town, grew reclusive. He canceled public appearances and moved funds to foreign banks within days of the teak fragment's discovery. His associates followed suit, their sudden caution betraying a shared fear that the ocean's silence was ending. Bay Bridge residents, who once boasted of their idyllic community, now watched the harbor with a mix of fascination and dread. The gleaming yachts bobbing on the tide no longer symbolized wealth and freedom. They were evidence of secrets clawing toward the surface, reminders that the ocean, patient and unrelenting, never keeps anyone's wrongdoing hidden forever. As the investigation deepened, another layer of the mystery emerged, one that reached beyond a single missing yacht. Months earlier, a young marine biologist named Carla Vance had vanished after warning local authorities about suspicious dumping far offshore. She had been studying marine pollution for a regional research institute and had recently reported unusual chemical readings in the waters near Bay Bridge. At the time, her disappearance was treated as a tragic accident, perhaps a capsized research trip. But detectives revisiting her case found new significance in the timing. She had vanished the same week the Sea Vesper disappeared from harbor records. A breakthrough came when a storage locker rented under a false name was discovered during a sweep of the marina. Inside, investigators found waterproof containers filled with Carla's research notes and a portable hard drive. Analysis of the files revealed detailed data on toxic waste being illegally transferred from cargo ships to private yachts for covert disposal. The pattern pointed squarely at the Harbor Club. According to her notes, Carla believed the wealthy boaters were paid to carry hazardous barrels miles out to sea, dumping them beyond government monitoring zones. The profits would have been immense, and the risks catastrophic. This revelation reframed the financial evidence already collected. Those mysterious offshore accounts and sudden cash withdrawals matched the scale of payments one might receive for such illegal dumping. It also gave new weight to the discovery of the human bone near the lighthouse. If Carla had confronted the Harbor Club members during one of their midnight runs, she could have become a threat they were desperate to silence. Forensic tests confirmed the suspicion. DNA extracted from the bone recovered with the rusted anchor matched Carla Vance. The quiet young scientist had not drowned by accident. She had been killed. Detectives now believe the Harbor Club's midnight gatherings were more than social indulgence, they were calculated operations to rid themselves of both toxic waste and anyone who might expose them. Public outrage erupted as these details leaked. Once admired figures, the club members became symbols of greed and deceit. The marina, once a postcard-perfect setting for leisurely sailing, transformed overnight into a crime scene under constant surveillance. What had begun as a simple mystery about a missing yacht now revealed a complex network of environmental crimes and a violent effort to protect a fortune built on poisoning the sea. The wealthy boaters who once seemed untouchable were watching their empire of secrecy collapse tide by tide. Confronted with mounting evidence, authorities moved quickly to secure arrests before any of the Harbor Club members could flee. Grant Hollister, the proud owner of the Sea Vesper, was taken into custody at his hilltop mansion before dawn, the flashing lights of patrol cars cutting across the manicured lawn. Two other prominent members, business investor Diane Mercer and shipping magnate Victor Hale, were apprehended within hours. Their homes and yachts were searched simultaneously, revealing hidden compartments filled with incriminating documents, false shipping manifests, offshore bank statements, and encrypted ledgers detailing payouts for the illegal dumping operations. Each discovery tied them more tightly to Carla Vance's disappearance and the long trail of environmental crimes that followed. Investigators reconstructed the fateful night through digital footprints and witness testimony. Carla, after collecting water samples showing dangerously high toxin levels, had tracked a convoy of yachts under the summer moon. Her final call placed her near the lighthouse just as the Sea Vesper slipped from security cameras. Detectives concluded she boarded the yacht to confront the perpetrators, unaware of how far they would go to protect their profits. A struggle broke out, and in the chaos she suffered a fatal injury. In a panic, the conspirators weighted her body and cast it into the dark water, believing the currents would erase every trace. But tides are rarely predictable, and the anchor that snagged her remains would eventually betray them. The trial that followed gripped the entire region. Prosecutors laid out a meticulous case, presenting financial records that charted the secret waste dumping profits and forensic evidence from the recovered bone and yacht debris. Environmental experts testified about the damage caused by years of toxic dumping, turning public opinion sharply against the once admired elite. The defense tried to paint Carla's death as a tragic accident at sea, but the forged maintenance logs, the missing yacht fragments, and the recovered research files spoke louder than any argument. When the verdict arrived, it was decisive. Hollister, Mercer, and Hale received lengthy prison sentences for murder, conspiracy, and environmental violations. Other Harbor Club members faced heavy fines and bans from maritime activity. Bay Bridge, once a quiet jewel on the coast, became a national symbol of how privilege can mask corruption. Residents slowly reclaimed their harbor, but the glamour of the old regattas never returned. The ocean that had once given these boaters their freedom ultimately carried back the evidence of their crime, proving that even the deepest waters cannot keep a secret forever.